Ladies and gentlemen, the Los Angeles Kings have dethroned the Chicago Blackhawks as the Stanley Cup champions. I am Tommy C, and this is a Shot from the Point news report. The Western Conference Final is over. The Stanley Cup Final matchup is set. It will be the New York Rangers versus the Los Angeles Kings. Alec Martinez in overtime on a deflection puts one past. A very poor performance by one Corey Crawford, and the Los Angeles Kings go on to the Stanley Cup, and no one is happier than our friend in the game right here, Mr. Boston Troy, who took Los Angeles in 7, thought it was crazy, and I gotta think that you have a chance to actually win the Shot from the Point game. I'll be doing tallies sometime today or tomorrow.
Well, I can only hope and or try to fudge the numbers.
No, you did say. Well, you said it's crazy, but I didn't think that it was all that crazy considering the way a lot of the other series went and the way Chicago has played. Chicago likes to spot other teams a few games, and it finally came back and bit them in the ass. And I think it's just a strange way to end a really a fantastic run. I did start to believe because Chicago in the overtime seemed to have so much more push than Los Angeles. But in OT, that's how things go. They go off strange deflections and things of that nature. So that's all she wrote. LA Kings are in the final. What are your opinions of this game and maybe the overall outlook of the Stanley Cup final?
I was really surprised by this game. There were a lot of those goals were really due to uncharacteristic sloppy defense on both teams' part. There were a lot of backdoor goals, a lot of players not getting covered down low. It was just uncharacteristic of both teams. Both teams usually very irresponsible, but not today. And I'm glad it worked out for the Kings.
Well, another thing is, Troy, is the goaltending. As much as we love Jonathan Quick, and it has not been as sharp in past years in another series, even in this round. I wrote on Twitter that if either of these goalies had played up to their full potential, this game wouldn't have went 7. This series wouldn't have went 7. And I was kind of reminded of that today. Corey Crawford finishes up today. He gave up 5 goals and 32 shots. That's not very Crawford-like. There are some questions about his ability and that he kind of lives off his offense a little bit, but that's a little low. Jonathan Quick, slightly better. He had a .90 to 90% save percentage. Gave up 4 goals and 41 shots. It's okay for Jonathan Quick. I really see the goalies more of a problem, and I know you didn't see a lot of the first period, but 5 minutes in, Brendan Saad makes it Chicago. Then Jonathan Toews takes it. Then puts up Chicago 2-1. Then 2 unanswered goals by the Los Angeles Kings, Jeff Carter and Justin Williams. And then right before the end of the about 3 minutes to go in the first period, Patrick Sharp makes it 3-2 Chicago. That's insane. It makes for good.
Unusual.
It makes for good.
Very unusual.
It's extremely, especially the way this game has been, especially the way the series has been played. We talked about the Rangers making mistakes in the offensive zone, and that Chicago would punish them or Los Angeles would punish them on that. You can't say the same thing for the goaltending, and it does seem just by looking at this, it's. Who's the worst goalie? And the worst goalie today was Corey Crawford. And I gotta believe, and you tell me if I'm crazy here, that this bodes well for the Rangers. I think they have a lot better chance than they may have a couple days ago, assuming that Jonathan Quick doesn't show up as Jonathan Quick. What do you think about that?
Oh, yeah, that's always going to be a worry, definitely. I think it does benefit. I think the Rangers definitely will have an easier time with L.A. I think their speed is going to be much more of an advantage. L.A. is more of a kind of sit-back kind of team. They try to be more reliable, slow everything down. So I think the Rangers might be able to blow past them a little quicker as opposed to trying to do that head-to-head with Chicago. So it's certainly going to work out better. But, it's going to be a battle of the goaltenders, Hank versus Quick. I mean, that really is what it's going to come down to. Two of
And
the
Hank's
strongest
hotter
players
right
on the
now.
team.
Hank's slightly hotter. And as we all know, just about every year, the hotter goaltender, and usually the hotter goaltender going in, does tend to hold the cup over his head. Now, we have seen situations where, I read in the news that Jaguar may be retiring in the next couple of days. He won a Stanley Cup with the Ducks, or not? Excuse me, he won a Conn Smythe with the Ducks when he didn't win the Stanley Cup. I'm starting to look. It's really, I think this series is going to heavily depend on how Jonathan Quick shows up for the Stanley Cup final. That being said, this is one of the greatest series I think ever. It's they mentioned it's the first, the first overtime in Game 7 overtime in the Eastern or either conference final since, of course, 20 years ago, 1994, when the Rangers and Devils did it in the Eastern Conference. I love the series overall. I mean, the play was amazing at some times. It's also amazing how few whistles there were and how much uninterrupted play. It must have drove the sponsors crazy. But yeah,
that's actually my favorite thing. It was clear that the NHL and the refs knew to just let the boys play, and
let the boys play.
So
but I don't know. I also think
There's nothing worse than the refs slowing the game down and really dictating it.
But it also, I don't think the works really had to work all that hard because it was very clean. It's probably the cleanest series I've ever seen. It was one of the most exciting series I've ever seen. There was just two very evenly matched teams and two evenly matched teams that play pretty drastically different styles. And I think that's what's made it so great. The only thing that's slightly surprising is that Chicago, who was probably the better team on paper, didn't overcome them. And they had chances. They did have a 2-goal lead at one point, and they weren't able to hold on to it. And both their goalies look shaky at times. But I don't know if I don't want to put down the Los Angeles offense, but it's certainly not as potent as the Chicago offense. I think it's fair to say.
Can't say that as of today, though.
No, it doesn't matter because Alec Martinez, he got it done, and that's the I saw it. I really did. It's one of those moments that kind of got slowed down over here. I saw the puck go up in the air, and I said, "Yep, that's it." And of course, and I know what it's like to be a fan in a situation like this, and have and I felt it a little bit, even though I really don't think it mattered too much for the Rangers who won or who didn't. It's going to be an unbelievably difficult final. But I did have that feeling oh my God, every shot could be your season. And it goes LA's way. You must have took LA for a reason as far as your pick. Go into some of the reasons why you think that might have turned out that way.
They were a very defensive-minded team. I think in the end, sometimes that wins. Mm-hmm. And that's what I saw here. And really, for me, what it is with LA is that they don't give up. Like you said, their other series go to 7 games. There's one of those teams that, they're going to make it go. They're going to hang in there as long as they can. This was a little bit different considering they were up and slacked a little bit. But I just feel like when it comes down to it, they know they have to try a little harder. Mm-hmm. With Chicago, I think Chicago, it comes a little easier. I don't want to say they don't work as hard.
Sure. I think you're exactly right. Yeah, I think that's a really good explanation. Yeah, they're a little more talented, and they may kind of lean on that, and that may explain maybe spotting these guys, a few games, which is not smart in the end there. How do you feel about the upcoming series? Are you excited about it as a hockey fan? I know your team's not in it, but you do watch a lot. I know you dabble in college hockey.
I'm gonna have to go back on Facebook 2 or 3 months ago when I wrote Kings Rangers would be a good play. That's what I was looking forward to. I think it's gonna be exciting. I think it's different teams. It's not people you always see there. True, LA won a couple of years ago, but I'm excited New York's there. New York, LA, it's a true battle, East Coast, West Coast. I think it's going to be a great series. I think it's going to be another one that's going to go long. We're going to see another 6 or 7 game series.
No kidding. I haven't decided which I'm going with, but I tell you something. I may go with the fact that I may end up going with the Rangers simply because Lundqvist seems to be a little more on top of his game. And the top goalies tend to win. If you look through the statistics over the years, they tend to hold the Stanley Cup at the end of the day. I just want to talk about some strengths and weaknesses. Some strengths with Los Angeles. They have great leadership They have a pest captain, which is a little unusual in Dustin Brown. I really think he's one of the a little underrated too in the National Hockey League. He's been a captain of that team for a very long time. This is the second time he holds the Campbell Bowl, and I think he could get under the skin of Ranger forwards, guys like Rick Nash and what have you. He's a very annoying player. Another strength is their coaching. They're very well coached, a defensive-minded team. And the probably I think the biggest strength is something you can't buy, you just have to earn, is the fact that they have the Stanley Cup experience and the Rangers don't. I think that's probably the biggest thing. And it's recent Stanley Cup history. It's not 5 years ago. It was 2 years ago. And this is fundamentally the same team minus one or two players. One of us three or four players. Fundamentally the same hockey team coached by the same coach. Those are strengths. For the Rangers, I think the strength lies in speed up in the forwards. Guys like Kreider, Hagelin, and Stefan can really throw the afterburners on and make your defense work. The other thing is we have bruisers on the blue line. The New York Rangers have bruisers on the blue line. It's going to be interesting to see how Marian Gaborik, which is another interesting thing, is going to deal with some of his former teammates in that kind of crushing, unforgiving defense. And
Gaborik, man, what a great pickup for LA. He's really showing up to play.
Huge. And I mean, we let him go because he just wasn't productive in the playoffs. And what is he, 1 goal away from Gretzky's record? It's amazing.
Yeah, it's funny how that happens, man. A player doesn't do so well on one team, but you move him around, and next thing you know, he's been one of LA's best players in the postseason.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be? And they're going to start talking about this at least in New York. Gaborik coming in as hot as he is right now. I think he has 13 goals in the playoffs, and I think one more he beats Gretzky's record, which would be, jeez. If he was more consistent in other seasons, he'd be looking at a Hall of Fame bid. That's a lot of goals. Wouldn't it be something if Marian Gaborik scores a key goal against his former teammates? That would just be awful. It would be unbelievable. It's something that you probably can't connect with, but it's definitely something that I don't know. Somebody who grew up with rain, maybe as a Boston Red Sox fan, you can connect with it because curses and things of that nature and things sort of revenge.
I know about waiting a long time.
I got this. This is great. Let me take you to the web. Let's take the folks to the webpage now. This is really first class. This is over a year ago when Marian Gaborik is unproductive, and the Rangers let him go. And this little boy and his absolutely horribly mean parents let him know about the Marian Gaborik leaving the New York Rangers. Here it is. Babe? This is real. I just did some sound effect. I can't believe it's only got 12,000 views. What a bunch of rotten fucking parents.
What did you say that was a take of? That was a take
that was
of
a take. That was
after the final Devil season game?
No, that was when Gaborik got traded during the half season.
My mistake. It sounded like Jake.
Let me tell you something. That's going to be a difficult Shot from the Point Live episode to do if the Rangers go to Game 7. So it's not like I remember 20 years ago when I was in school and we had mixed, like I said before, Devils Rangers fan. The terror of walking in there after they lost and having to hear it from, especially this like a third period history class, was even more terrifying than losing because there was going to be social fallout for them losing. This poor kid is going to have to get the best psychiatrist on the East Coast to fix his problem if Marian Gaborik scores a damn goal to put them away. Or maybe he'll be just like, see, I told you so. See, I told you so. Oh, God. Because I'm going to get my balls busted by Jake. Ugh. Not that I deserve
can't say
it.
much. The Rangers made it. We're the Devils. Golf.
And you know what? And that's all I'll have at the end of the day. At least we went. Yeah, you sure did. Yeah, you sure did. Man, you got anything else?
No, man, I just can't wait. I think it's going to be a great series, and I'll tell you what, I'll call it a repeat. I'll say LA in 7 again. This is where we part ways. You know I'm rooting for LA. So.
Okay. All right. Well, LA in 7. Well, I had Chicago in the last one. I didn't get any points this round. I think I'm out mathematically. I'm going to have to do some tallies. I had Chicago. I didn't think LA could take them. But basically would come down to a hockey coin flip. I lost. And that means Danish Ranger Kim Hansen's got a little problem too. And the only guy that has tiebreaker points left is Jake for the New York Rangers, and they have to win because nobody has runner-up tiebreaker points. So that'll actually be interesting. I'll be putting out that video for round 1 and 2 combined pretty soon, so you can see how your stats kind of worked and what happened.
I think if I were you, I'd kill myself. My team goes to the Stanley Cup, and I didn't pick them.
Yeah, but
I'd probably shoot myself.
Well, I mean, you root for the Boston Bruins. I mean, come on. I'm trying to win this stupid game, and I did a lot better last year. I finished in second place last year. You root for the Boston Bruins. It's a much more reasonable thing to say your team will go to the Stanley Cup. Now, we had somebody pick their favorite team. They picked the Detroit Red Wings as the tiebreaker points. And, it's their favorite team. You know as well as I do, the Detroit Red Wings weren't going to the Stanley Cup final. It just simply wasn't happening. They may have played upset role, but they certainly weren't winning a Stanley Cup. Too damn old. And I think that coach over there has been there a little too long. He's starting to sound like a broken record, just like Jake Link has to say, and what have you. So you are excited about it, though, correct?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's going to be a great series.
Oh, yeah. I'm really looking forward to it, too. It's really starting to seep in. It's really incredible to go. I don't think I'd be totally heartbroken if the Rangers don't do it just because of I think they overachieved in some sense.
You're gonna sound like that kid if they don't do it.
They overachieved. I'll be proud. You'd be surprised. I'm a very graceful man. I'm a very graceful thing. I'll be disappointed, but I won't be all together. I won't be angry because I think I'll handle it like Joe Cronin did last. He was very was like, we got our cup. It was close. It was a good series. Things fell apart at the end and what have you. I think I'll feel that way. We didn't. It's not like the Islanders, just the Devils beat us. You know what I mean? Because that's awful. Well,
we got at least 240 minutes of hockey before we find out.
Yeah, we sure do. And and you know what? I think I might take Rangers in 6 or 7. That's I'm not giving. I'll let you guys know. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening to the Shot from the Point post game report. I am Tommy C. You were listening.
Oh, and before I forget, with 15 minutes left, hashtag NHL15 Bergeron.
That's right. Hashtag NHL15 Bergeron. He's supposedly in the lead. He's supposedly going to wrap it up. I'm real interested to see some of the reaction of these media types after Bergeron does win. I think they're going to make a federal case out of it. But none other than we're pulling. We're Bergeron people over here. Nothing against PK, but we pull for guys that play through injury, not fake it. That being said, personal standpoint, I love PK. He's a good guy, and he looks like he's fun to be around. Don't you think? You wouldn't have a beer with him?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I would. Matt Cook's probably the only guy in the league that I wouldn't deal with. I
definitely have a beer with him. Then a bar fight.
Yeah. All right, everybody. If you like what you heard, you're going to hear more news down the road. Please subscribe. Please hit the like button. Please put discussions. If you have any problems on our opinions, and you can always hit me on Twitter, Tommy C, SFTP. Check the links below. Thanks, everybody. See ya. Bye. Check out every Sunday, Shot from the Point Live. Check out Shot from the Point's Facebook site in the description box below 4 times. Thank you very much. See you in the Stanley Cup Final.